I was craving greasy tacos, and Jack in the Box did not disappoint. Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm having Jack in the Box, while I tell you about a conversation I had with an older gentleman who has a son that's having some motivational issues. Let's get started. All right, before I start, I'm sure you can hear a difference in my voice. At least it sounds different to me. If you've been following my videos, you probably know that before I went on the cruise, I went to see my doctor, or I went to see a doctor about a cough I was having. At that time, it was like maybe a little bit of a cough every 24 hours or so, just once or twice a day. And then it started getting worse when I got back from the cruise, and now it's full-blown bad. I've tried the neti pot to clear out my sinuses, which really helped take out the pressure, but my sinuses are still leaking into the back of my throat. And so I read that this Metamucil was gonna help. So I went and bought this just now. And while I was out there, because I wasn't planning on recording today, especially the way I'm feeling and sounding, right? I didn't write anything up. But I felt like, I don't want to get too far behind on my schedule. So I'm pushing forward. The directions say 1 or 2. It's not very specific, so I don't know how serious this medication is, but I'm going to take 2 and then maybe taper off to 1 later on. And I got this because it says thins and loosens mucus. And this is not an endorsement or anything of it. First time I've ever tried it, so I don't even know if it's gonna work. So let me take these 2. It says it doesn't matter if I take it with food or not, so I'm just gonna take it. While I was there, they had these next door. I did take one of these while I was in the car. And if you can see, which I didn't at the time, right here, it says it's an oral pain reliever. I didn't notice that. I was just looking at the flavor, which said honey and echinacea flavor. And soothes throat, fast acting. So I took one in the car while I was going to pick up the food. And then my tongue started getting numb. That feeling like when you go to the dentist and you have a cavity filled, for those of you who've had cavities filled, and they give you the injection. Oh, not the injection. What is it? Prior to the injection, is it the Novocaine? I think the Novocaine's the injection. But there's like some numbing agent that they put on like a Q-tip or something, and they put it in your mouth right before they inject that area. And it's supposed to numb that area. I think that's what this oral pain reliever is. It kind of numbed my tongue. So luckily I ordered food that I've had before, so it's not really a review. It's more just something to eat while I talk to you about a conversation I had. So if you're here for a review, I'm just gonna tell you ahead of time since I've had most of these already, or actually I've had them all before. They're a solid 3. It's kind of weird that I went to Jack in the Box for tacos when I could go to Taco Bell, but I did a video on Taco Bell, a second video on Taco Bell, I think recently on my channel. And for some reason, I was just craving these oily tacos. So let's get started. I don't remember if I tried this one. It's a honey garlic sriracha. I'm gonna just dip a fry and see how it is. Not good with the fries, but I think it could be good with other things. The tip of my tongue, or the tip to the middle of my tongue, it's really numb. That medication is really strong, or that cough drop. So initially I was only gonna get these large tacos. I think they were 2 for $3. And then these were $1.50 for two, which used to be 99 cents for two. So I wanted to see if it's twice the size, which I'm kind of looking at this now and thinking they are not. So here's, by the way, I got it with jalapenos and onions, I think, which I don't see any onions. Which I had to pay, I think, 60 cents extra. Or maybe it's just the jalapenos. Maybe there were no onions, just the jalapenos, 60 cents extra. Yeah, that's definitely not twice the size. Or the thickness. So maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe I could have just gotten these for 99 cents and just got like, what? It cost me $7.20 for 4 of these because it was $6. It's $3. The jalapenos was 60 cents extra times 2, so it came out to $7.20. I could have gotten like 14 of these. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't. All right, have a good meal. I might end up regretting the decision to eat these, but we'll see. I need some Diablo sauce. Let's try it without the Diablo since it has the jalapenos. It really only has like one whole jalapeno and little bits of jalapeno in here. But look at the oil and grease. Eesh. They call these monster tacos. And it has a Halloween themed jack at the front. You can kind of see, just put the jalapenos up here at the top. Maybe it's a last minute thing. They just took whatever tacos they had and let's stick the jalapenos in. Oh man, look how greasy that is. All right, this might be my only meal today because of all the grease. I was craving greasy tacos, and Jack in the Box did not disappoint. Look at all that. A couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with this gentleman who has a son that is 40, I think he's 48 years old. And he had finished pharmacy school about 4 years ago. It's his second career, I guess. He graduated college with like a electrical engineer, not electrical engineer, some kind of an engineering type job. And he did that for a couple of years. It didn't work out. I guess he didn't like it or whatever. His company laid him off. Came back home, did the prereqs for pharmacy, and his plan was to be a pharmacist. The thing is, after pharmacy school, he wasn't able to pass the boards. And I guess his father, who I was talking to, tried to give him support and help, even a tutor to help him pass the boards, and he just wouldn't do it. I don't know if he's too proud or what it was. Now, 4 years later, he still hasn't passed, and I don't think he's eligible to sit for the boards again because they only let you fail so many times. This hot for taco sauce is not spicy at all. Everything's trying to escape. Last taco. This father was telling me that his son was giving up on life, that he doesn't even come out of the room anymore. He stays in his room. The windows are all blacked out. He doesn't know what he's doing in there. He won't go get a job. Maybe he's too embarrassed. Everyone thought he was gonna be this doctor, this pharmacist, and he ends up not being any of it. The problem is the father was blaming himself, saying that because he didn't know how to be a father and how to encourage his son to continue, studying harder or do better on the test. Even though he offered him all the financial help he could, he didn't have the mental support for his son. And so he was blaming himself for the reason his son was failing. And it made me think that, none of us is really equipped to be a father, right? We all want to be, supportive of our children. We all want to push them. But at some point, our instincts, our motivation can only drive the child so far. The rest has to be something that they want to do for themselves. And so I was thinking, maybe the son never really wanted to be a pharmacist. Can he pass the school? I guess he could. He went through the schooling. But what are the chances that he was able to get through school? Which, I know a lot of schools are for profit, so they don't really care whether or not you pass your boards or not. They just care that you pay your student loans. And luckily for this father, he did not sign for the student loans. He did not do a cosign for these student loans. So he's not on the hook for it because his son doesn't plan on paying back the student loans. He doesn't even plan on working because he figures if he works, they're going to garnish his wages, which I'm thinking you're only 48 years old and your plan is not to do anything that makes money for the rest of your life. How long do you think you can live with your parents? If his parents pass away, he'll get the house and then he can use the house to do something with it. I don't know. Granted, I haven't spoken to his son about this, so everything that I'm telling you is just what I heard from the father and his point of view. Okay, I'm gonna try to finish these fries. One of the things I tend to do when I hear people telling me their stories is in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what would I do or how would I handle that situation if I had to deal with it? Not so much because I want to give them advice, even though in my nature, that's what I want to do. I try to hold back my opinions. You know, a lot of times people just want to vent and tell you their story, and not because they want your advice on how to fix it. If they did, they would ask. But sometimes they just need to be heard. So as I was listening to that, I was wondering to myself, if my daughter was older, doesn't have a family, and she was failing at a school that she paid a lot of money to go to, what would I do for her? I don't know what this father's finances are, whether or not he is able to help or not. But I was thinking, you know, if it was my daughter, I would want to remove her from the situation, right? My initial thought to him was, why don't you kick your son out? Because as long as you're giving him that shelter, he is never gonna feel like he needs to do anything. Then what he's been doing for the last 4 years is hiding in his room. The old adage of being in your parents' basement, that's basically where he is, except in California, we don't have basements. So he's in a room where he sealed himself off, and he only comes out late at night to eat or whatever. And his dad doesn't know what he's doing in there. You know, in the beginning, it could have been that he was studying, but now that he doesn't even have that to do, what is he doing in that room that could potentially harm him? The things that he's watching, the things that he's doing. You know, it's one thing if he was just sleeping all day, but I'm sure he's not. I got these free, and I was thinking I shouldn't eat it because I didn't even want it. It was just free, so of course I'm gonna take it. I think it's like what, $4.50 for this large curly fry, and then it was either that or save 49 cents on the two tacos to get that for 99 cents. So I was like, I'm gonna save $4. But the thing is, am I really saving if I didn't want to eat this? Yeah, I'm too full. Before we ended the conversation, I had mentioned to him, what does he plan to do? And the father said he didn't know. He couldn't kick him out of the house. And of course, he feels that guilt of not being able to support him. And he's an immigrant himself. Well, both of them are immigrants. So of course, you know, coming to the US, he said that he was concentrating on working and making money and not paying as much attention to his children. And I was thinking, how many of us do that? That when we're younger, we're trying to save money to buy houses, to put away for our children's college, for vacations. And sometimes in that pursuit, we forget about our children and what the support they need at the time. And so, you know, I see a benefit, and you could tell, like households where they have one of the spouses are stay at home, whether it's the mom, which is typical, even when the dad is at home, you see that the children are a little bit different than when they're in a household where both parents are off working. And when I go to pick up my children from school and I sit and I watch some of the kids coming out, and you'll see that, you know, there's so many parents picking up kids nowadays. It's something I didn't notice, so I don't know if it's any different than when I was in like middle school. I was thinking, there's also a lot of kids who are like walking home or taking the bus home, and they don't have the luxury of having both parents with them. So what are they doing? Are they disciplined enough to sit and do their homework and stay out of trouble, you know, stay off the internet, stay off their phones, not hang out at the corner liquor store or whatnot? Well, anyways, I really didn't have a story, so I was relating a story from a conversation I had. I was just thinking what I would do for my daughters if that situation happened, and I really didn't know what I would do. I have all these ideas, but in the end, none of the ideas that I have will work unless my daughter wants change. That's the last thing I told him is, no matter what you want, your son has to want the change more than you. That's how we left the conversation, and that's how I'm gonna leave this video. Change only comes when you're ready for it. What's the old saying? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. If you stayed this long to listen to my sniffling and weird deep voice, I don't even know if it's coming out as deep. It just sounds like it. So maybe my ears are clogged too, I don't know. But I appreciate you being here with me today and sharing my meal with me. Hope you enjoyed your meal, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care now. Bye.